I struggled with weight issues for many, many years. These days I'm an athlete, I kickbox, I run and I cycle, and I do a 10K every year. So I'm a very, very fit woman. I'm also a grandmother, and I have a lot of knowledge, but I didn't always have good results with my weight. I really struggled for a number of years. And 10 years ago, my health got really bad. I was actually using a walking stick, and I put on a lot of weight through various health issues, and I decided I had to really turn my health around. And I went on a journey that had phenomenal results. And I'm going to share with you what I did and how I managed to turn my health around. There was actually two of me standing behind the microphone 10 years ago. I was really carrying a lot of extra weight around. And of course the impact that has on your knees, on your back, on how you look, on so many aspects of your life, and your risk of ill health. And unfortunately the women in my family did not have good results with their health. And my own mother was no longer of this world when she was a little older than me, her mother even younger than that. So I didn't want that to happen to me. I didn't get good cards dealt with me genetically, and I was determined to turn that around. And my journey involved finding out about health. I'd already studied nutrition and naturopathy by then, but it was still not really working for me. But I decided I had to do something. And one of the things I did was I found out how to balance blood sugar. And there are a number of tricks that we can use to really get that managed. Now, I don't know if you realise that the food manufacturers have whole laboratories full of people whose job it is to formulate food so that it is so delicious and so addictive that you cannot stop eating it. And the supermarkets are actually full of this kind of food. And they call it, it's something called mouthfeel. When something goes in your mouth and it is that delicious that you just want more and more of it, that is called the Bliss Point. And there's whole laboratories full of people actually researching to make the food that delicious so that we cannot stop eating it. And those kind of foods have been appearing in the supermarkets. They started off in the USA, and they've been gradually appearing over in this country as well. And so we literally have the odds stacked against us. So there is an awful lot working behind the scenes to give us problems with managing our blood sugar and managing our weight. So we need to get clever. And we have our secret weapon. I've brought along, this is subterfuge, this is the secret weapon. This is actually red cabbage. Oh. These are all organic, by the way. This is carrot. Here's a bit of celery. And, you know, you've got the idea, haven't you? So these are the secret weapons. But there are other secret weapons, which I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to now go through the 10 things. But I don't want you to think that I'm one of these people who's had an easy time with managing my weight, because I certainly haven't. And I know some people actually struggle with low blood sugar, so I've got some tips for you as well if anybody here wants to hear about them. So, stabilising blood sugar will help stabilise your mood. It can reduce the risk of things like road rage and losing your temper. It certainly reduces the risk of having an accident or dropping things or making a mistake in your work. There are a whole range of things that will reduce the risk if we can actually keep our blood sugar steady. So it's not just mood, it's also a whole range of other things. My early part of my career, I worked as a health and safety advisor, and it was very interesting to see more accidents happen in the early afternoon, particularly when people have had a high GI, a high carbohydrate, a very sugary or processed carbohydrate meal. They're more likely, because their blood sugar drops, they're then more likely to have an accident in the early afternoon. So those are the kind of things that got me thinking, this is actually having a big impact on a whole range of our life. So, one of the things you can do is chew your food slowly. Really chew your food. This not only delays the arrival of it in your tummy and then into your bloodstream, but it actually ensures that you get the maximum benefit from the nutrition that's actually in the food that you're eating. We tend to eat far too quickly. It's quite interesting. I have a son-in-law who's from France, and he was telling me that when they eat in France, they always put the knife and fork down between mouthfuls. And yet in this country, what we tend to do is be loading the knife and fork ready for the next mouthful before we finish the one that's in our mouths at the moment. But they don't do that in France. They always put their cutlery down. Apparently in the US, the average fast food restaurant, people are in and out in about 15 to 20 minutes. In France, they're not nearly as successful there because, apart from the fact that people don't tend to eat fast food so much in France, but they actually take an hour to eat their fast food because they eat more slowly. So eating our meal slowly, chewing every mouthful, you're less likely to get indigestion, but you're also going to get the food benefit from what you're eating. And if you're slowing down your meal, after about, if it takes you 20 minutes to eat a meal, you're more likely to be releasing the hormones that tell your brain you're full. Whereas if your food goes down very, very quickly, you don't have a chance for those hormones to kick in and tell you, actually, you've had enough now. So we tend to eat more because our hormones are not given the chance to actually kick in. Another thing is making sure there's plenty of insoluble fibre in your meal. So the chewy vegetables, the crunchy things. I try and eat as much of my vegetables raw as I can. Not everything tastes good raw, but it's amazing what does. One of the latest things I've started eating is raw celeriac, chopped into little pieces or grated. It's absolutely delicious, really very little preparation, and it's wonderfully good for you. And it's fibre. So fibre slows down the passage of your meal through your digestive tract, as well as all the benefits of all these wonderful antioxidants that are actually in all these vegetables. They do us a world of good. But they also safeguard us from a whole range of health problems, whole range of bowel problems and so on. So that also slows down the food, so it doesn't get into your blood so quickly because you've slowed it down going through your digestive tract. So that's another thing you can do. So let's say you're having a sandwich or you're having a pie or something for your meal. If you have interspersed the mouthfuls of that sandwich or pie with some carrot sticks or some celery sticks or some, radishes or whatever, then you are slowing down and you are actually lowering the GI, the glycemic index of your meal, simply by adding the extra fibre. So you can, still eat your favourite things, but you can improve the nutritional profile of what you're eating simply by adding those crunchy vegetables. Another thing is soluble fibre. So we've got insoluble fibre, which is this fibrous stuff, and then there's soluble fibre. Now, does anybody here have oats for breakfast? Who likes oats? Wonderful. Okay. What, porridge oats? Porridge oats? Or
Yeah.
Does anybody here ever eat oat bran? Have you ever come across oat bran? No. We've got a nod over there. Oat bran is very similar to porridge oats, but it's actually had some of the flour, the oat carbohydrate flour taken out through sieving, and it's actually got a higher fibre content. So if you switched your porridge to oat bran instead, it's very similar, but it's actually higher fibre, and that will give you a swap. And so it's got a higher soluble fibre content without actually changing the flavour. It's just as delicious, and you can make the most wonderful pancakes with it for breakfast. There's a whole range of things you can do with it. So that's another swap that you could think about, and that's available in a lot of supermarkets. The other beauty of soluble fibre is, who's come across the term prebiotics? It's a very trendy word at the moment, isn't it? Yeah. Well, prebiotics is another name for soluble fibre. It's in apple. Pectin in apple is soluble fibre. The Jerusalem artichokes are another one that's lots of soluble fibre. Inulin is another soluble fibre. These types of food are really, really good for your gut bacteria, and our gut bacteria are our buddies. They are there. They do so many good things. They are amazing friends to us. Most of our immune system is the bacteria in our gut. They produce a lot of the neurotransmitters that help keep our mental health in a good place. They do a whole range of important things. So keeping them healthy, we're doing us no end of good. And one of the best ways to do that is make sure you've got soluble fibre going into your diet. So this is all good. Probiotics. So yogurt. Who eats yogurt? Anybody? Yeah? Really easy to make. If you go onto my website, you'll find a really easy recipe for making your own yogurt. Yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha. These are fabulous foods. They're full of healthy bacteria, and they really do help replenish your gut flora and help keep you feeling good. They help your digestive system work really well, and they help protect you from catching coughs and colds and things, because your immune system is, most of it is actually in your gut. So you're helping keep yourself healthy by making sure you get those foods. If you can buy probiotic capsules, but sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha is the cheapest way of doing it, and you can make your own. There are loads of recipes online, and you can actually be farming those probiotics in your kitchen rather than going down the health food shop and spending £20–30 for a good probiotic capsule range. You can actually be farming them in your own kitchen for very, very little money, so that's another option. Processed sugar. Now, we've already heard about somebody giving up sugar. Who here has given up sugar? Anyone thinking about giving up sugar?
I don't have much of it.
You don't have much of it. Brilliant. Okay. Well, all I will say, for those people who have given up sugar, one of the things you find is the incredible flavour in food. Unfortunately, sugar actually seems to damage our taste buds, and when you give up sugar, you'll find things taste better. It's amazing. I mean, fresh pineapple is amazing. Cherries, amazing. When you've given up sugar. Unfortunately, sugar is in virtually everything, and they're really clever, the food manufacturers. They have maltodextrin, they have dextrin, they have high fructose corn syrup, they have a whole range. Oh, apple syrup, corn syrup, date syrup. These are sugar. All of them are sugar, but they're disguised. And quite often you look at the packet and it says, you know, sugar is third down the list, and then there's another 3 or 4 of these variants. But actually the thing is half sugar, but they've disguised it by having the different names of different types of sugar, so they're quite sneaky. Sugar is bad news for our health.
It's worse than cocaine, isn't it?
In terms of addiction,
And killing and stuff.
yeah, in terms of addiction, it is actually 8 times as addictive as cocaine.
Wow.
And apparently, if you have a functional MRI scan, that's the brain scan where they can actually see your brain working while you're thinking, or while you're doing something. If you actually do one of these scans while you are taking heroin or cocaine, you will light up 1 or 2 of the pleasure reward centres in your brain. But apparently, if you do that when somebody's eaten sugar, it lights up like one of those pinball machines. The whole brain is lit up. And of course that makes it very difficult to give up. But you can reduce it gradually, and there's a really, really good sweetener on the market called Stevia. I don't know if anybody's come across that. One of the latest research papers I've read about Stevia is it's fantastic for it's a really fantastic treatment for people who've got that tick-borne disease. Anybody heard of that? Lyme disease, that's right. People who have Lyme disease, who've got chronic Lyme disease, Stevia is a really good way of managing the symptoms for that. So there's a lot of benefits to these herbs. Some of them are really valuable. And Stevia is a great way to sweeten things. I use it in my yogurt. If I want something sweet, I'll use that. So that's a really good thing. Sugar thickens your blood. It's an inflammatory substance. There's a whole range of reasons why you don't want it in your body. But if you look at what's in the ingredients in the supermarket stuff, salad dressings, sauces, everything's loaded with sugar. So start thinking about how you could be reducing it, swapping it out. There are ways, and I can talk to you if anybody wants to hear more about that.
Just
I
a
can
couple
talk
more
to you.
minutes.
Okay, sure. White flour, let's cut that one out. There are great alternatives. Stress. We all know about stress. Interesting, one of the big problems with stress is it actually releases sugar into your bloodstream. One of the causes of upping your blood sugar, stress actually gets sugar into your bloodstream, so that's not great. Vital nutrients, those can trigger food cravings, so making sure, you know, a multivitamin, multimineral tablet can really help, just like an insurance policy, to make sure that you don't miss out. And there are some wonderful herbs that can help with blood sugar stabilization. Cinnamon, green tea.
You were going to mention low blood sugar.
Low blood sugar, a great thing you can use if you do suffer with low blood sugar. I know a lot of people who do exercise struggle with exercise if their blood sugar goes low. Cream coconut is a great snack to carry around with you if you're exercising. That's a very slow release. And it's the energy in coconut cream. So you know, it's that, it looks like a block of butter, but it's actually made of coconut. Your brain can use that directly. So it's something that's easily absorbed, and it can go straight to be used by your brain. So if your blood sugar goes low, your brain can actually make use of that. So anyway, I need to wrap up now, but I hope you found that useful, and I'm happy to take chat afterwards.
Has anyone got any questions for the lovely Simone? That's been really, really informative. Thank you so much. Give her a clap.